Right, now we are on to our final event type, and that is going to be a war event. War events represent us getting into galactic conflict with one another. It means that we're going to use these ships that we've built into our space to do battle with both of our neighbors. So the first thing you're going to do is going to count up the number of marked nodes that you have on each side. So on my left side here, unfortunately, we just have those 2 infantry, so it's only 2. And on the right-hand side, we have quite a bit, though. We have our cruiser, which is 3, and our PDS, which is 4. So over here we have 7. Then, according to the war event card, the first thing we're actually going to do is advance the deployment line, which means move the orange line up 1 space. Then we count these out and do war with one another. Let's say that my neighbors did something very similar to us. So my neighbor on the left also has 2-7, and the neighbor at the right also has 2-7. I'm going to compare my left side to their right side. So on the left, they would have 7 and I would have 2, so I would lose that conflict. If you lose a conflict, go over to that side and you circle the bottom indicator to say, hey, I lost, that's what you get. On this side is -1 victory points. But on the right side, I would be comparing to my right-hand neighbor's left-hand side, which would only be a 2, so I would defeat them. In that case, we circle the top one right here, which shows that we won, which gives us an extra planet to spend on doing expansion or building space docks later in that round. So that's going to be how wars resolve. Now, in future strategy cards, you can't build below the deployment line. So now the deployment line's moved up, you're going to be building starting in this section, which of course is a little bit larger, has different resources to acquire, and has more nodes that you're not allowed to build in, as well as different rewards for victory. Loss is usually just going to always be negative victory points, but that's going to show you how to build and resolve your conflicts as the war cards come up. The last card in the game is actually a war card, so the very last thing you're going to do in a game of Twilight Inscription right before the game ends is resolve the final war. So that's a thing to think about while you're building spaceships and what strategy cards you want to always rely on, because you know the last thing you're going to do in a game is always go to war.